Hello, today let's look at how to do time series analysis using the R package. I am going to be using for the most part two packages in R, namely time series and forecast. I might also use the XTS package later, which includes another package called Zoo. So, there are many variations of all these. For example, there is another package called TS instead of time series. So, if you use some other package, the syntax of some of the methods that you call may be slightly different, but for the most part let us use time series and forecast, right. So, let us actually go and start working with the RStudio package, which is here. So, I am going to begin by, I have already installed the packages. So, that is I have done install.packages for time series for and forecast. So, now I will invoke the library for time series. So, I am including the time series library, which also includes another package called time date, right. So, let me also, I do not know if I will need this right away, but let me also include the forecast library, right. So, now let us begin by looking at the air passenger data, which is built in to your package. So, now I have the air passengers data with me. For example, if I say plot air passengers, right, I get this plot which I can zoom and see the full plot. So, this is the data set I was talking about, where the number of passengers in commercial flights in about 12 years or 14 years from 1948 to 1962 or so is shown. So, you see a very an increasing trend, almost a six-fold increase in the number of air passengers from about 1 lakh all the way to about 6 lakhs, and then there is a clear seasonal variation. Right. So, a simple plot shows that, but if I see what class this air passenger data is, it says it is TS. It is not a simple data frame, it is a class called time series TS defined in the time series package. So, because it is a known instance of the time series class, I can do many other things. For example, if I want to find out the frequency, I simply call frequency air passengers and it tells me 12. That means there are 12 data points per year in this data set. I can also see what is the cycle in that. So, if I type in cycle air passengers, I get this showing each year has 12. So, that is the yearly cycle of 12 data points. So, it shows me that. Now, if I want to extract only the time part of it, right, I can type in time dot, I can call the time function on this and it shows me all of the different time points for which this is recorded. And I can do something else. Suppose I want to get the trend of in this particular time series data set. One way to do that is using linear regression. So, I am going to call the linear regression function LM on the air passenger data against its own time component. So, I am calling LM on air passengers tilde time air passengers, and now I will plot this again, and on top of that I will draw the line that I fitted. So, if you see what happened here, now I have fitted a straight line to this data and it is a reasonably good fit, but it is not the exact trend, right. The trend has not been linear. Somewhere here the growth, the most of the data points are below the line, here a lot of the data points are above. So, the actual trend is not linear, but I have done using linear regression, I have fitted a linear model to this, right. So, how do we get a better model of the actual trend in this particular data? So, I can do something called the STL function. So, this STL function in the time series package takes a time series data set such as the air passengers, then you have to tell it how many elements are there in each cycle. So, there is a parameter called s dot window which I am going to set to 12. Now, if I plot the result D, I get something very interesting, right. I get all these different plots. The top one is the actual data, it is the same as the earlier plot, because it is stretched a little bit, it is looking somewhat flatter. So, this is the actual plot of the data in the air passenger data set. The third one here shows the trend. So, you can see this is not a straight line anymore, it is the actual trend. How, if I remove the seasonal variations, how the trend has been extracted as a component from the data set. It shows the actual way in which this data has trended. And the second one shows only the seasonal component, that is, you subtract the trend, this is the seasonal component, and you can see the same kind of seasonal variation happening, although the amplitude of the seasonal variation is increasing. That means, there is larger variation with across seasons within a single year. This is quite reasonable, because the value of the variable, the number of air passengers has increased significantly, right. Later we will see whether this increase is geometric or arithmetic and all of that, right. So, for now, by simply invoking one R function, namely STL, right. In R we can do everything with a single line of code, right. So, using STL I am able to split this data, I am able to dissect it to get the trend and the seasonal components separately. And then if you take out both the trend and the seasonal component, what remains, the remainder, or sometimes called residue or noise, that is shown in the last part. So, this pattern is also there, it is hidden in the data, but we were not able to see it because it was masked by the more predominant components, namely the trend and the seasonality. So, by simply calling the STL function, I have now separated this data into the seasonal component, the trend and the remainder. This is what we can do. So, one of the first things you would do is create, once you have loaded or created a time series data, is to invoke the STL function to examine the seasonal or periodic and the trend components as well as the remainder component of the data, right. So, let us see, after this, right, I can also do some other kinds of plots, right. I will now say plot me the aggregate of this data, where the function I will use for aggregation is mean. That means, take the the average, the arithmetic mean of data points, and then plot that, right. It gives me the trend actually. How did it know approximate trend, right, because I have aggregated on a yearly basis. How does it know for what period it should take the mean, right? It already knows that, because it knows that there is a cycle of yearly cycle in this time series data, right. Earlier we invoked frequency and cycle and so on. From that it already knows that there is a yearly cycle. So, that is what it has projected here. Similarly, you can do a box plot, right. If I simply call box plot on this air passengers data, I get a single box plot, right. But there is something more I can do. I can say box plot air passengers against this cycle of air passengers, the cycle present in that. Now the magic happens. So in this one line of code, where instead of just calling box plot, I have done box plot air passengers tilde cycle air passengers, I get this wonderful 12 box plots month wise. So across the years, month wise, it generates a separate box plot for January, a separate one for February, and so on and so forth. So you can see the seasonal variation. If you just track these median points, you can see the seasonal variation as well. But what is interesting is now you can examine within a particular season, within a particular month, in fact, what has been the distribution properties. Where is the median, where is the quartiles and the whiskers and the outliers, all of that you can now examine all by writing one line of code, because the class time series has all of these functionality built into it, right. So if you have a time series data set, you can understand that data by invoking STL and using the knowledge that the time series class has in terms of the cycle and the frequency. You can use other functions like the box plot to understand the data set better. So these are just basic operations that you can do on any time series data set. Of course, the time series classes are much more aware of the entire calendar system. For example, you can say the things like you can do about the last working day of the month, weekdays only, weekends only, all such things are known to these classes. So it's fairly easy to do whatever kind of business analytics you want to do if it is business related data that depend on the calendar and work days and weekdays and so on. Okay. Let us, in the next part, let us look at how to create our own time series data set and then perform these operations on it.